MGA 233 restrictions, and they're talking about protections on any transferring of a project, so that, you know, it would be their project or no project. So, and I believe they're going to be presenting those at the April Planning Commission meeting, so people are aware of that. And with that, I'll move on to the call of the public. Would anybody like to speak?
I was just wondering if we can start getting the balance sheet income statements for the township on some kind of cadence, whether it's monthly or quarterly. I think those are important handouts to have, especially when we're potentially going into a solar condition. If we are, hopefully we're not, but if we do, it would be really interesting to start to understand what those financials look like and try to understand that better. So I was hoping that we could either have it as a handout for those that would want it, but I think that would be something that would be extremely helpful to help us kind of look at things.
Like a profit and loss or a balance sheet?
Both.
Because there's difference.
Income statement and balance sheet would be things I would expect that you do on a monthly basis. You probably do it on a quarterly basis. And obviously annual. I don't know if there's any year-over-year stuff, but those are the kind of things I'd be looking at, trying to understand the assets and liabilities, equity, and I'd be looking at things like cost, the expenses, and see where those situations might lead us to question.
Did you pick up a budget that's been
Have I ever?
available now for, yeah, we have budgets available for the budget meeting that's next week.
Been there?
Oh, I'm sorry, I haven't been to the last couple meetings, I apologize. So that's great. But
Okay.
if there's also a balance sheet, would be perfect, like a balance sheet income statement at some point in time. I assume that you do year-over-year comparisons or quarter-over-quarter or month-over-month.
Balance sheets are month to month, profit and loss is quarterly.
Okay. Whatever the cadence could be. I mean, just something to give us a little visual.
Well, you could start with the budget that's
Yeah.
available.
Well, I know, but the balance sheet and the income statement really is the true tell, right? So that's really, budgets are nice, but budgets, at Ford's, we always say budgets are always wrong. So why would you look at, so you make a budget, but that's only based upon either actions from the previous year or some kind of assumption. So what you really want to look at is balance sheet, income statements. Budgets are nice, but that's really what's the tell of the tale.
Okay, noted.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Just a reminder, squeaky little wheel here. We're right at the threshold of turning this into an industrial wasteland area. Something reasonable that's being pushed on us by our governor. Or, you know, do what I want to do, which is build generational wealth. I'm not taking my generational wealth and kicking it to the curb. I'm trying to build it right now. So, just to let you know, please do a good job. Do what's best for the community, please.
Yep. That should be our intention.
We don't want to be a horny little teenager running off to prom. We want to make rational adult decisions. I mean, wake up.
Thank you.
Wake up.
Hello.
Yes.
I came in late, so I didn't hear your spiel. I'll find out from Doug. But, so they proposed that area. Can we come back and counter them? My question is?
Yeah, we can do anything we want.
Well, I'm thinking that was something maybe we would want to do.
Real electric?
Not that, but, you know, we could
That's what I
counter.
want.
Anybody else? All right, with that, we will go ahead into the regular meeting. Adoption of the minutes from our February 20th meeting.
I make a motion to adopt the minutes from the February 20th meeting.
Second.
All right, moved and supported to approve the February 20th minutes. Any corrections or discussion? I have none. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Clerk's report.
So we had 32 hours of dedicated service from the Livingston County Sheriff's Department in the month of February. The dates were Wednesday, February 5th from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. They had 3 building checks, 3 traffic stops, 3 subdivision patrols, 2 traffic details, and 1 citation. On Friday, February 14th from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., 2 building checks, 2 subdivision patrols, 5 traffic stops, 5 field contacts, and 1 citation. On Tuesday, February 18th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., 4 subdivision patrols, 3 business building checks, 1 civil complaint, 1 ATV complaint, and 1 incident report. And then the final was Thursday, February 27th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., 4 subdivision patrols, 3 building checks, 2 area checks, 2 traffic details, and 1 animal complaint. I just received correspondence from the Bureau of Elections today regarding the permanent, so there's the permanent ballot list that Proposal 2 required that we have to have by law, and then the law also required that the Bureau of Elections give us guidance on how we're supposed to handle the permanent application list. And so I've just received that at the end of the day today, so my understanding is I am allowed to keep it. People cannot be added to it via like the Secretary of State or any other means other than they have to come to me to be added to it if I decide to keep it. It is a lot to maintain both lists, and the original ruling was or the original guidance from the Bureau of Elections was you're not going to be able to keep it. So I had told all of our voters that in 2024 was going to be the last time we had the application list. But now they've given guidance that if I do want to dissolve the application list, that I have to send out a notice to all of the voters that are still on the application list, and you cannot be on both the application list and the ballot list. So I'm going to go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to, so there's just a ballot list now. It's not
It's proposed,
it's
right.
not it used to be there was a permanent application list.
Yeah.
And you would send out the applications, and if they wanted a ballot, they filled it out and they sent it back.
Yep.
Now, they've filled out the request for a ballot and they're on it forever.
Yes, that was Proposal 2. So Proposal 2 said, it passed by every measure in every jurisdiction that people wanted to have a permanent ballot list. So
Okay.
you sign up for it once and then you get it forever. And so I just mail ballots to these people. I don't send applications and they send them back to me, and then I send them the ballot.
So you can either keep or dissolve your application list?
Yes, but I can't, the only way to get on the application list now, the permanent application list,
yes.
is to request it directly to me. But I don't know if I'm gonna keep it, because it's a lot of work to have, it will be a lot of work to have both.
Right, because really those people should just transition over, they should,
Right? Or,
which is what you set them up for last year.
yes, or they can still request one for the elections they want. You can still do that. Anyone can still fill out an AV application for each election. You can do that online, you can do that by coming in here.
Like if
There's
I'm
so
not on the permanent
Yeah,
ballot
if you're not
list,
on the permanent
and I'm just
ballot
like, oh crap, I'm gonna be on
out of town.
vacation,
Yeah.
I could
You
just
still-
do that
Super
one.
easy. It can be emailed to me, you can drop it off to me, you can mail it to me. So it's not making it so people can't request a ballot via, it's just I wouldn't have to maintain a list.
The application list.
Right, the permanent application.
I don't, unless it is up to you, I don't know, I don't see the advantage to,
It is kind of costly because we have to pay for all of
right.
everything for it. I don't know, something to think about. If you have a strong opinion, you're welcome to let
If
me
they
know.
have the option to go to the ballot list, like they know they always vote absentee, then,
Yeah, and they still have the option to request an application at any time for any election. So if you know that you only vote in every 4 years in the presidential race, the general election, or every 2 years in just the 2 general elections, then you can request still an AV, an absentee ballot, just for those elections. You can send them an application.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, that's all I have.
All right.
And treasurer's report.
Sorry. I settled with county, so that means no more paying taxes for 2024 at Iosco Township. We settled with about 136,000 going delinquent, meaning that's how much property tax was not paid in the township. That is our average number.
Okay.
It's not higher or lower than any other number. We usually run about that, which I always think is a good thing. You don't really want that number to go higher, ever. And I am continuing, now that I'm done with current tax, or with taxes, I will probably be closing down the Chase current tax account. So hopefully our list will get a little smaller here of checking, or of accounts that we have. And that is, oh, garbage. We have a lot of people are terrified they're gonna miss garbage this year. I've had more people call me or come into the office because they're worried they haven't got their bill yet. So I did put it on the website, and send it out to anybody. Did anybody get it?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is because you guys used to put it on the tax, you know, our tax form, it used to
Never.
say.
No, we've never put we've never mixed trash with property taxes.
No, you didn't add it on there, you just said it was due,
Yeah.
when it was due.
You had an insert, you had a little insert.
Oh, that's right,
You had a
inside,
little insert
yeah, that was
that went along
inside
with
the
the
taxes,
taxes.
always. since
Just
we
as a
got
friendly
money.
reminder that your bill's gonna be this, or whatever
Yeah.
it's gonna be.
No, a separate bill goes out.
No, not bill,
No,
not
No,
bill.
they're saying a notice. We've done an
It's a
occasional,
notice.
we've done an occasional newsletter.
it was always with our property tax when we got our notice. It was either something that was just stamped on there, your,
That had to have been pre-us.
Yeah.
it was gonna be due.
Yeah.
We've been here 35 years.
Well,
The
I've
last
been
2 years
the
have only 2 years
treasurer, I
ago
think, for
done.
12, and I haven't, the only thing we've ever done is a newsletter occasionally.
Yeah.
I don't put anything in usually
Well,
with
it must have
but
been inside the taxes, the newsletter.
like I said, occasionally we've done a newsletter. We try and put that with the trash bill because there's less. But I'm not gonna, either way,
Yeah.
I was happy, it
Because I
did
was
go
wondering
out.
too. No, we didn't.
Online, yeah, and it's okay, so, we'll all, as long as we get it, everybody gets it in, it'll be
Yeah.
fantastic. That's it, thank you.
So just a curiosity, the 136,000, how much of that, like,
20,000 of that is Iosco's, it's delinquent to Iosco for road and allocated. But that's probably not your question, what
well,
was your question,
that's
sorry?
part of it. I just wonder, how much of that actually ends up getting paid late versus carries over year after year?
Well,
whatever.
okay, so what happens, I'm glad you asked that, because so what happens is the county buys our delinquent. They buy our delinquent taxes. That's why when you see on the budget, it'll say delinquent, real property taxes. The county will cut us a check for that delinquent amount. And then the county collects it, because of course they put their interest on it, so then they will make their money on it. So we are never, as a township, we're never out that delinquent money,
Okay.
because it goes to the county, and the county pays us for it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
With that, we'll pay the bills.
I will make a motion that we pay $64,627.66 in township bills.
Second.
Moved and supported to pay that amount in bills. Any discussion?
Yes, so we have both our insurance, the township's insurance on there for $17,980 is on there, as well as our workers' compensation, the accident fund premium is on there as well. So that's just almost $20,000 of it is that, so.
And we have moved to QuickBooks Online.
Yes, we have.
So, don't sound so excited. So I don't know why it says account full name and it says property taxes paid out. It actually should say accounts payable. So I am working on that. There is a little bit of a learning curve.
Is the Foster and Swift bill, is that what we're paying for the appeal?
No, that's us, that's a us one.
Yeah.
They do end up commingled. Last month, there was one for the lawsuit and there was ours. Or there might have been two for the lawsuit and one for ours. I think there might have been three last month, but this one is us. This is for us.
So how are they billing us for that? I mean,
So I get a statement that says this is your portion for the lawsuit.
just randomly,
For the lawsuit you're
Yeah,
talking
based
about?
on what they're doing and where they're at in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I don't know if it's monthly or, it could be monthly.
He indicated monthly, but it probably is gonna be more of if there's a significant event, you know, but monthly is how we would normally do it,
Yeah.
so.
I showed it to you and you weren't surprised by the amount. I don't recall what it was he had spent so far, but it was a large sum. But you had said, well, that, I guess he had said to you that the most money is in the preparation. It's not gonna be in the actual trial, but the preparation for. So we've paid our portion of the beginning. I think there's two. I think we've paid two so far for the lawsuit. And then the other ones are the township's personal.
All right, no further discussion, call the roll.
Daley, I, Bonville,
Aye.
Harmon,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye. Committee reports,
Yes, I have Jason's. Well, you guys all received Jason's.
yes.
So Jason is at his daughter's first varsity soccer game, so unfortunately he is not able to be here. Unfortunately, again, this draft needs to be approved tonight. The school board, needs to do their budget by April as well, is what I believe he said. So, you guys have had this for a couple weeks now, so I'm sure you've all read it, but it just, the key points I highlighted when I went through it were, under section 2D, section 2D, the Board of Education shall establish a process to resolve grievances, complaints, and other concerns, providing reports to participating government units upon request. And my big takeaway from that was they have to provide us reports upon request. And then under E, I highlighted a proposed budget reflecting the projected expenditures and revenues of the Community Recreation Program and a report of proposed fees for the next fiscal year beginning July 1st will be sent to each participating government unit in this agreement by January 31st. A member of each participating government unit must be given notice and an opportunity to attend and participate in the annual January budget meeting, so I thought that was good that was in there. Under 3, the fiscal agent's responsibility, D, I highlighted the Board of Education shall maintain separate accounts for all program-related transactions and will allow participating government units to review the books upon reasonable request. E, the Board of Education will provide an annual financial report to participating government units showing actual and projected revenues and expenses. Under 4, B, each participating government unit will voluntarily pay an annual flat fee that must be approved by the participating government unit's Board of Trustees. And then again, at the bottom of that paragraph, the fee contributed by each participating government unit shall be determined by the participating government unit's Board of Trustees. The flat fee shall be invoiced annually to each party after July 1st, and payment shall be due 30 days from the date of the invoice. If a participating government unit fails to approve the annual flat fee or fails to render timely payment, its residents shall be charged the full registration undiscounted rate. So yeah, and this again is just a 1 year. So C, under that section 4C is where we would put, we're gonna be what they calculated at 18%, we'd be responsible of their entire budget, which rounded up is about $22,000 is what they're requesting. Is what they figured our portion would be, which is still less than this year's. As a total side note, we have not paid the rec bill.
The second part of it.
Because Jason has, oh, you guys probably read that. Jason has repeatedly tried to get information as to why there's a change in the amount. So Jason and I did speak, and we're gonna wait one more month. It is due by the 28th of this month, but we have requested for months now, an explanation for the increase, and we have yet to get it. So I feel very justified in not paying that until we receive that information from the school. So I'm sorry that deviated from this, but I felt like it kind of intertwined with that. So those were the takeaways I took from the final draft of this agreement. I don't know if you guys had anything that you wanted to hash out, what you guys thought, but the 22,000 is less than what we are being expected to pay this last time.
No, it's like you said, it's a 1 year.
Yeah.
We'll see how they,
How it
we'll
goes.
see how they handle it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the fact that they're not telling them what the discount rate is, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, that's,
It's kind of odd.
I know. I
That's
think,
not what
yeah,
they're thinking.
it's kind of unfortunate that this had to all come to this, but, yeah. Jason did mention, I don't know if you guys saw it in this too, that all the other, yes, right there at the very end, last thing
Yeah.
to mention, the current agreement.
Just because of how our meetings roll.
Yeah, so, I guess I will, I'll make a motion to approve, unless somebody else would make a motion to accept the Fowlerville Community Recreation Agreement with Iosco Township agreeing to pay roughly 18%, which equates to $22,000 for the 25-26 year.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll.
Bailey, aye. Bonneville?
Aye.
Harmon?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye. Okay, motion carries.
And I will let Jason know as well.
And Amanda, fire board update.
Fire board, since our last township meeting, there's been one building fire, one fire in a motorhome camper or recreational vehicle.
There's a camper.
One camper. One brush fire, which you can expect next month for there to be a lot more of those. 10 medical calls, one hazardous condition, one unauthorized burn, one good intent call.
Yeah, sometimes people.
Like
think
see
that-
smoke and think, oh, I should
Yep.
call, and, all right, gotcha. One dispatched and canceled en route, and one CO2 detector activation due to malfunction. So, very exciting. Handy Township has let the fire authority know that they are now going to have a special meeting to discuss our sewer REU protest.
Good.
Yeah, I'm hoping that special meeting is in April, because February marked the 2-year point that we'd been in the building for 2 years, and that's at what point you can contest it. And so it's dragging a
We
little
saw it
bit.
coming. and
Yeah, they
pushed
saw
back
it
as
coming
long as they
and
could.
pushed it back, so, and now apparently it's a special meeting, so, I don't know, maybe there's a lot going on in Handy that could be very busy and now it needs to be special, so that's fine. So I will keep the board updated on what happens with that. And they, April is bond payment month. The fire department paid their bond on time, ahead of schedule. You'll see that on the balance sheet for under bond repayment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Planning Commission, again, Matt handed me his notes,
One public hearing is going to be held on April 8th for the large SES amendments. Mr. Eidelson spoke at the Planning Commission meeting to give some clarification on signage. Mark and Ann will be in touch to come to some final verbiage and interpretation on that. And then the Planning Commission is to start reviewing the master plan and going over it one chapter at a time. He also commented that Trustee Harmon and himself are in the process of completing 3 of 7 of the Citizens Planner Program through MSU extensions. And it is to be completed April 17th. He's at class tonight, that's where he is at. Because they can only miss 2 classes apparently in this series. So, and he already has one that he's got planned for vacation. I don't know why he needs to tell me that.
I think maybe some of that was for you.
Anyway, he is not here tonight because he's being trained. So, and that's what he is.
Could we, I know he's not here, but maybe one of you guys know, the public hearing, what is the public hearing for?
He said he's got a
It's supposed to be
public.
for the trigger ordinance.
I thought it was for the trigger ordinance
Yeah.
too, but he says it's for the.
It's not.
I think it's just the way he worded
Yeah,
it.
I think you're right.
We already did all that publishing.
I hope you did.
I hope so too.
Um,
I bet I did.
I'm sure you did.
Don't ever miss a drop the ball.
I'm doing very, 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 very,
All
I
right.
did, I remember sending it.
That's Matt's corrected notes,
Okay.
so,
Got
and I guess with that, we'll move over to Ann.
I have issued 8 permits for the year. Of those, 2 of them are for new dwellings, and then in addition to them is 1 waiver. I did receive a trash complaint on Coon Lake that I'm currently working on.
All right.
They have to get a permit from, do they have to get a permit from the building department for an EV charger?
Yeah, because it's electrical.
Yep. All right, with that, on to unfinished business. Iosco Township Newsletter.
Okay, well, I have, on our last newsletter, we had something about the trail and treat for Halloween. We had a note from the assessor's office about updating records that she, or her assistant would be around updating property card records. I also included a sign up for online notifications. That obviously doesn't have to go again, or we can make it much smaller. I also had, I guess Granger is calling people, because they really want people to put the carts with the handle away from the road. I don't know if that's just something for a little blurb on the newsletter or not. It's not a high priority, obviously. And then, obviously, you guys wanted solar status, so I'm gonna let you guys talk about that.
All right. Well, the letter here represents a status on solar, which I drafted up primarily, and Julie looked over it for me. Basically states some of the information that DTE will be coming in with at their April meeting. So similar to what I talked about earlier in my comments. And then, I don't know, did we print these out? Are these out there or not?
No.
Okay. I mean, I can just read what I have here, and we can go from there. Iosco Township solar status. The Township Planning Commission and Board are close to deciding whether to approve DTE's conditional rezoning request, which would allow the project to move forward within the township under local control. Alternatively, if the request is denied, DTE may take the matter directly to the MPSC, removing the township's authority over the decision. And I just went through and I put pros for approval, cons for approval, pros for denial, cons for denial. Pros for approval includes comments like I made earlier. DTE is offering a condition to their application not to construct projects beyond an Iosco-approved overlay district. 2, DTE's application includes setbacks of over 1,000 feet in prominent areas. 3, DTE is offering screening plans as needed in collaboration with the township and affected residents. And 4, DTE is offering a condition to their application to maintaining a 45 dB sound limit compared to the 55 dB limit within PA 233. Then cons for approval are, I put down, Iosco would be agreeing to collaborate with DTE toward the potential approval of a utility scale solar project within the approved overlay district. So, yeah, I mean, in essence, the con would be, we would be saying we're gonna work with DTE, right? Moving forward. Pros for denial. The utility scale project would be delayed, not necessarily halted, because we don't have a means to do that. Cons for denial. DTE could potentially apply to the MPSC, circumventing the township controls. 2, the MPSC applications may or may not uphold any of the conditions outlined above. 3, if DTE decides not to proceed, another developer would be free to lease the land and pursue a project through the MPSC. And 4, there's currently no clear path to stopping utility scale solar in Michigan. And then I said, reach out to your local officials and share your thoughts with them.
And you were thinking of putting this in the newsletter?
Correct.
I didn't get a draft from you. Did you create a draft?
I did. I wrote up something just very fact-based. I feel like there's a lot of opinion in here. Just to let people know that are still out there that don't know. I'd be happy to read it.
Sure.
Zoning amendment requests from DTE have been received by the township for a utility scale solar power plant. Iosco Township adopted amended solar ordinance on date, I can't remember the date, which can be found at the link. I was going to link that. Our current solar ordinance includes an approximate 990 acre solar overlay district in the vicinity of Burma Farms. These applications and related documentation and maps can be found at linked. These rezoning requests include additional land outside of the township's solar overlay district. In total, the rezoning applications seek to rezone approximately 1,800 acres for solar development. DTE is also requesting additional revisions be made to our solar ordinance to create a workable ordinance for their project. These applications and requests are being reviewed by the Iosco Township Planning Commission. For further information regarding this matter, please attend Planning Commission and board meetings. Planning Commission meetings are held on the second Tuesday of each month, and board meetings are held on the third Thursday. So just facts. I feel like there's a lot of opinion and
What's the opinion?
things in this. Well, number one, the cons for denial and the pros for approval are much larger than the pros for denial and cons for approval. There's currently no clear path to stopping utility scale solar in Michigan. We are part of an appeal that doesn't stop utility scale solar, but it does dictate what we have to do and what we have to allow and how they can circumvent us, or what requires them to come to us. So I just feel like it's really leaning one way, and that's why I just wrote up facts.
Well, let's think about how we can rewrite denials, because everything above that is fact. So your issue is with the cons for denial, it sounds like.
My issue is with our pushing the residents in one direction out of fear. And we are still in this appeal. And I mean, if we're not going to see it through, I don't know why we're part of it. That's my opinion.
Not a bad question. Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is like, one of the things that people talked about was delaying, right? And so you're saying, let's take the avenue of delay.
Well,
That's what I'm hearing,
yep.
right?
Actually, I just like us to follow our ordinance. And we've had this conversation many times.
Correct.
We don't seem to be following the ordinance as it's written right now. And that's all I'm
going
I'm
by
trying to
what
take
our
this
attorney
piece by
says.
piece,
I
right?
know you are,
I mean, bit by bit,
right,
instead of just going all in. I feel like
right.
we should be handling this a little differently.
Well, the bottom line is, we still come down to the fact that is, we either are gonna push this off, because are you gonna sit there and tell me your goal isn't to prevent solar from the township?
No, that isn't the goal. The goal is to see this lawsuit out, this appeal out, see where it goes.
And then after that, we would work with DTE.
Potentially,
Okay,
potentially. But then at least we know where we stand.
well, it's the potentially, because even if the lawsuit wins, so to speak, what will that do for us? Because Mike can't tell us.
What do you mean you can't? I don't know, because I don't get to talk to him on a regular basis, so I don't, from what I understand.
I should say, Mike doesn't have any confidence in what the final end result will be. He knows what he
Right.
wants it to be, right?
Great,
So he wants it to be that the township would have a say in control,
yep.
right? Our legislatures don't believe that is what's gonna happen, right? Like I said, I've spoken with Ann Bolin, I've spoken with Lana. Both of them are basically apologetic that the legislature right now is pretty inept. But they're both pretty clear that solar isn't gonna stop. There's mandates from the state that
Right?
whether, you know, it's MPSC or whether it's DTE working through Ranger or whatever, that solar is gonna be pushed through. I mean, it's not something we're gonna stop. So I guess my default position is still, why in the world would we not take advantage of the opportunity to put a system into place in our township that will be hidden for the most part from people? They are coming in and giving a lot of things that people complained about, mostly.
Because nobody wants
the
it, I'm sorry,
expansion.
we can't, we're supposed to
Ma'am,
not talk
ma'am,
out here,
you're not
but
supposed to talk yet, you'll get a chance, thank you. Yeah.
this is ridiculous.
Well,
So with that in mind,
Joe, that brings me to my next, I don't know if you want to, I guess we have to finish this before we talk about the DTE contact.
yeah, let's finish this.
So I guess it's up to the board what goes in this newsletter. I just think it's very leaning.
I guess that's what I mean, you're writing it where you're not giving any pros, I guess.
It's just facts,
Right.
simply
It's
facts.
just facts.
Yeah.
And this is not
I
just facts.
didn't put anything in here about being part of an appeal or any of those things. It's just facts. This is where we're at. If you want to know more, come to the meetings or, you know, link to these applications, see what they're trying to do. This is for the people who still have no idea.
Can I
Right.
have a copy?
Sure. Julie, do you want to?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I guess I don't necessarily see an issue with what you've written other than I think it's misleading to talk about the 1,800 acres. I mean,
How's that misleading? That's exactly what is in the application. I added them up today.
I get that. You're talking about our current solar ordinance has approximately 990 acres. So, I mean, technically, yes, they have 2 applications in, but they're asking for an additional 700, right? Or in this case,
No.
810. You've already got 990, right?
In total, the rezoning application seek to rezone 1,800 acres.
Right.
Our overlay is 990 acres.
Right.
So you're saying,
It's
you didn't want it to be more clear that that 1,800 includes the 990 acres? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that would be the only thing I would say is misleading.
Well, it wasn't meant to be misleading, but I get it.
So if you said, these rezoning requests include additional land outside of the township solar overlay, which is, I can put the what is it, 700? Put the 700 in there somewhere? Or do you want to try and clean up in total?
It's actually 800 additional.
Okay, outside of the solar overlay.
Yeah. Well, okay.
I think it was
There's
clear,
more.
honestly.
There is, it's more than 800 because technically they've got their underground area.
I just went through their application and their acres that they have listed on the application. It was 1,800. It was actually 1,800 or something.
Correct. No, I agree with that. I just think it's misleading just from the standpoint of that 990 is already in an overlay district.
Well, I just said in total, the application is seek to rezone 1,800 acres, which is true. Because the land in the overlay
Yeah.
still has to be rezoned.
Yeah. I agree. I'm just giving my impression. So then how do we merge these 2 documents?
Julie?
I thought I said it, I didn't want, I don't know, I didn't have any part in writing this other than, if you think it's biased now, you should see it before I started.
I worked really hard just to state facts. I tried not to put in any opinion or any, there actually people reached out and said, can you make sure that something's mentioned about the land that's adjoining or abutting us in Handy that's leased and the potential of another project going in up there. And I said, I can't because right now there's nothing solid here. I need just facts. And that's how I came up with that.
Yeah, it's facts, I will deny it. But on the other hand, I don't know how you don't say mine aren't facts, because they are facts too. You just don't like that the facts represent what DTE is proposing.
I honestly don't know all of what DTE is proposing because I'm not privy to those conversations. What I'm saying is that I'm reading it here, but this is the first time I'm reading this. I mean, there's parts in it that I've not seen or anything about these additional things to their application.
It is.
I don't know if the rest of the board is privy to those things or.
I just, this is all new as of last week.
Last week.
Track of my days. I guess, I mean, I can take them, you can take them. We can work them together somehow and come to an agreement if you like, as to how we'll merge them.
Is this something we have to vote
I don't think we've ever
No.
voted on something like
No,
this.
it's just going in the newsletter.
It's a newsletter.
I think that, I guess we can't even, we can't all be in a group, even in a group email and make a decision about it.
Correct.
It's just- I really thought that, I mean, you two were the two that were at all the meetings with the community. I thought that you two and maybe Matt, because being on planning commission would be the best three people to work together. I guess that was my hope, is that you guys would work together on it and not this is my opinion, this is my opinion, but truly put your differences aside and try and work together on it, because if we can't figure out how to work together on this, it's gonna be a fight until it ends, and it's miserable. It's miserable that we can't, as grown adults with different opinions, figure out how to work together on this. So that was my hope, that you two or three would figure out together, put your differences aside, and figure out what should go in the newsletter. And I still think that you should work together to figure out what should go in the newsletter. Because this is,
That's what I just said.
yes, together though, not you come up with something, her come up with something, work together. Work together, learn to communicate, the two of you, so that we're not constantly dealing with the, you said, I said, she said, he said. Like, figure it out how to work together, how to hear each other. That's what I think.
Thank you. So how do we want to do
I can call you tomorrow and we can go over it if you like.
this? That would be just fine.
Okay.
And then it gets submitted to Amanda, because Amanda will put it in the trash. It will go on the reverse, because I believe they have the stuff that's already on it, it's going to be two-sided.
It doesn't have, well, it depends on how long this is.
No.
It doesn't-
there's no reason for it to be over 1 page.
Right,
No, I'm
because
just
like
saying, it's a two-sided, a piece of paper with regular
I can,
two-sided.
because I can take the sign up for online notifications, we have a step-by-step on how to do that. We've already sent that out once. I can take that off,
Okay.
or I can make it not as,
What is the big deal about having a two-sided piece of paper?
No.
Okay.
it's extra and people don't often read the
I
back.
mean, yeah,
Okay.
other
I mean, I can see how much, if it's not that much more, and we really need to have, you make this too long, people will not read it. It won't matter what it says, they won't read it.
How many times do we get people saying, I never got my trash bill? So I don't think people are gonna read it anyway, the vast majority. So the people who wanna know about this, but I mean, we have been nothing but, I mean, it's been public
Right, it's been
hearings,
going on for a couple
for
of years
2
now.
years,
But
so-
if there is somebody who does have it, I'm just saying, if you go two-sided, then I think you get, the chance of them reading it is already not super good, so you make it two-sided, they're really not gonna read it.
All right.
And then if I'm in charge of this and I put solar on the back, then I'll get bitched at. So solar's gonna have to go on the front, and it's
All right.
gonna have to be, you
Cool.
know.
All right, so you guys got about a half a quarter of a page to figure it out. Really small font.
All right.
I mean, yeah, it definitely, it needs to have where it is on the website. I totally agree with that. And quite honestly, you could almost have Joe's first paragraph and call it a day. But, you know, that's up to you two. You two figure that out. Then let me know.
Did you go ready to put in this letter as the online thing? Is that with the trash, it's just the trash?
It's just the trash bill. So once we get it, well, I know. I might put it under news, or I might put it somewhere else, because that is on the garbage page.
Or you can just resend it.
We have news, like if we send out, we can email specifically out a newsletter, like if people have signed up to get the newsletter. I can put it under the little one that says current happenings or news. No, it says news.
Okay. So Erin and I will speak tomorrow.
Sounds good. Email me what you come up with.
All right, next topic, DTE contact.
I asked to have that put on the agenda. And Joe, it really spawned from our coffee chat and other conversations we've had about DTE contact, you having contact with DTE. And it also came from the Citizen Planner class. The first class, we talked about ex parte contact. And especially at this point, with them having applications into the township, I feel like that's what's going on, with you solely being in contact with DTE. And I just like-
ex parte contact.
Thank you, I was gonna ask that too.
contact outside of meetings with an applicant or someone that has a vested, into something, it's inappropriate.
Interesting, I had never, ever heard that, and I will talk to the attorney about it on Monday.
Okay. I would like to talk to the whole board and see what everyone else's feelings are on it, because, coming to the meeting and seeing this, or being at the planning commission meeting and hearing that DTE is planning to amend their application, which you obviously knew about, I just feel like you're going around how we're supposed to be doing things. You're in constant communication with them. I said to you at that meeting, I said, Joe, I just don't think I think we should all be in these communications with DTE. And you said, well, we would have to have meetings every week, which says to me you're having conversations and communication with DTE every week. They're an applicant in our township.
I'm gonna talk to the attorney. I don't believe there's any issue with me speaking with them as the supervisor of the township. So I will trust our legal counsel on that.
Okay.
I mean, we do work in this outside of this meeting. This is a meeting of us to come together and make decisions and present information. Information I'm getting would be like this, right? Like, DTE spoke with me, told me this, I bring it to this meeting, disseminate it.
But you are bringing things to DTE as well, correct?
What do I bring?
Well, you said at the coffee chats that you learned these things that people were concerned about, and then now DTE is making an amendment to their application.
Okay,
So,
and there's an issue with that?
yes, I do believe there's an issue with that,
How so?
because the whole board's not involved. We're not involved in those conversations. You're doing that on your own,
That is correct.
and we are a board of 5.
Well,
So,
it's a, I guess when they call me and I speak with them, they'll ask me about what citizens' concerns are, right? They're here, they hear the same concerns. So I'm not telling them new news. This isn't like me, I guess, coercing DTE into our way, or whatever you want to call it.
that's not what I was saying, that you're coercing anything. I think that it's just not appropriate,
I get it.
especially at this juncture.
Yeah.
The public has been concerned with your contact with DT for a very long time. And I agreed with them, but at that point, they weren't an applicant. Now they are. I think it's a different situation. We ultimately are going to vote on this application, and you're talking to them on the side without the rest of the board. I feel like that's a problem.
Teresa or whoever at DTE would talk with you also. And that is your
I
prerogative.
wouldn't talk with them.
To talk with them.
I feel like it would be inappropriate.
I don't know why.
I think with anybody, it's important to remember Joe's just one vote. It wouldn't matter if he talked to everybody at DTE, he's just one vote.
I do understand.
So and they do, with any applicant, it could be a major developer or anybody, they're gonna call board members. So,
And it's not appropriate.
I just don't know where you're coming up with.
so they should, so
To me, that's an
DTE,
opinion.
It's really not. You can go on the MSU Extension website and look up ex parte, and you'll understand. It's a thing, it's a problem.
And I will, and more than that, I will talk to Harris.
Okay, well, I'd like it on the record that I find it inappropriate. So I'd like to make a motion that there's no more communication with DTE outside of our public meetings.
I won't recognize it anyway.
What's
I guess.
that?
I won't recognize your motion anyway. You can't make it, you're not gonna make a motion to,
But I did. It needs to be in the minutes.
okay, whatever.
I'm just saying, you're putting our township in a vulnerable position by having this communication outside of our meetings.
Well, I appreciate your opinion. I don't agree with it. Appreciate your opinion.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay, I guess with that, more to follow. Just that I will follow up with our attorney and determine what's appropriate or not. And we're gonna move on to new business. We'll start with Gorski Hauling.
Looks like he's only $100 up from last year.
Yep.
I'll move that we approve Gorski hauling contract for the spring cleanup.
I'll second it.
Moved and supported to support Gorski Hauling for our spring cleanup. Any
Yeah,
discussion?
$33,800.
An estimated cost.
Yes. No discussion? Then we'll call the roll.
Montville?
Aye.
Bailey? Aye. Parker?
Aye.
Harmon?
All right, motion carries. On to our mowing contract for this year.
So we do have two, and there is a substantial difference in the price. One is the person that we've used for years, and the other one is the person CJ's Lawn Care versus Anna's Lawn Prep. CJ's Lawn Care is the one that we've used in the past. Anna's Lawn Prep, I want to preface this with, Anna's Lawn Prep went and checked out all of our grounds and cemeteries, and they were not, Jim is Anna's husband, and he is the one who did the bid, and he said that he was not impressed with the quality of work that was done at the cemeteries, and that he would never leave the cemetery in that condition. So, while his bid is higher, his claim is that his work is much better, that the quality of work is much better than what he saw at the cemeteries in particular. So,
How much more? 16?
$4,875.
How long have we used
CJ's,
CJ's?
longer than I've been here, so,
Yeah, probably 6 years maybe?
yeah, I'm not sure, because it was before I started. I know that, and you're gonna get complaints about, I'm sure anyone, but I did receive several complaints last year about grass being mowed into the road. I think, yeah, I have no opinion. I'm fine with whatever we decide, but,
I don't know, he hid that sign out there, and then it took him 3 months to replace the post. And he just stuck it in the ground like he thought I wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
I get it, it is more money, but I do question,
you get what you pay for, kind of.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, he's never removed branches and leaves. Honestly, right, that's,
No, the one time Pete or somebody asked him to trim the shrubs out front here, he just trimmed them and left all the crap in the parking lot. I don't know. We used to be a little more partial to him because he was a township resident. He has since moved.
I know Anna's Lawn Care takes care of Greenwood, right? Is that Greenwood Cemetery in the,
Town.
yeah, so I mean, I know that,
They did a very nice job with the salt and the this winter.
They did.
All right, I get that it's more, because I just worked on the budget from last year. We did come in incredibly under budget. I would like to see our cemeteries taken a little better care of. I mean, Todd's a pretty no hard feeling guy. I'm sure if we went with Anna's for 1 year and then went back to him, he'd probably be okay with that. Or we can stick with Todd, but I am leaning a little more towards Anna.
Has anyone had discussions with them about?
with Todd,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the changes?
No.
No, nothing changed. I mean, it was actually worse on the cemetery on Munsell Rd after the discussions, so.
I feel like I'm biased. I had an interaction that does not lead me to be unbiased in this decision, so it's hard.
Just a big jump.
It's a big jump. Yeah, if it wasn't for the fact that like you said, that just the winter service that they gave us was exceptional, I'd be kind of like, I don't know. But, yeah, sometimes you do pay what you pay for it.
I wish Matt was here just because he might have some experience with both of them too, but he's not, so it doesn't matter, so we're gonna, we'll decide.
We're gonna vote Matt does it? Is that what you said?
No, I was just wondering if Matt had any
I'm
experience.
teasing.
Oh, yeah, let's vote.
Because he's not here, you know? When you're not here, you get
Matt
volunteered for
takes
stuff.
care of the lawn and the cemetery.
Right. I don't even have Todd's last name.
It's a considerable increase for Todd.
For Todd as
Oh, yeah,
well.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was
he went up like
for-
$4,000.
4,000, yeah, but
Ooh.
his previous contract was 8,000. I mean, and maybe we could, we say you increased your rate by $4,000, we expect $4,000 worth of improvements. That's what we want, so.
And that's never, since it never improves anything before, I don't,
I mean, in essence, that's what you would be doing. I mean, we can talk with him, I just don't know that there's any, what experience does he have of doing a quote-unquote better job, right? If that's kind of like his mode of operation.
I don't think I could justify $4,800 more when we've used them as long as we have. Perhaps go 1 more year and just let them know what's coming next year if it's not there.
And that's an option too.
But I haven't been here, I don't come to the township on a regular basis, so I don't know what it looks like here.
The cemeteries too, I guess, as well. But like I said, whatever you guys decide, I would support. I don't know who to write the check to,
Right.
for how much.
Well, I don't have a problem talking to him. If you want to make a motion, to keep him, and somebody support it. I can let him know that he's on probation, so to speak.
Like, weed whacking needs to happen, and not taking down like flowers that people have planted for their
He
loved
doesn't
ones
even
at
weed
the-
whack here though.
But he did weed whack, he was weed whacking or mowing, I don't know which, at the cemetery, and for several times he took down a family's plans that they put for their loved one, and so then I had to intervene. And I think we have that hashed out, so that shouldn't happen in the future. I guess, yeah, set ground rules, if you, somebody's gotta have a stern
I mean, if
office.
he breaks the contract, it says right in here what he's supposed to do if he's not doing it. Don't we have
Yeah,
a
just
right
trying to,
to-
maybe, I don't know how complicated it is to find somebody mid-season, like, I don't know if people fill up, if they can, I mean, because it's not a small area, right? Trying to do the township grounds and the two cemeteries, like, I imagine that's something that has to get planned into somebody's schedule. It's not somebody that can just, you know.
Right, well, there'd be a
find
good
art or
chance we'd
whatever
be
to-
stuck with them
Yeah,
for the year.
yeah, I think so.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept CJ's lawn care bid for the 2025 lawn maintenance season. And Joe have a discussion with him.
Yes, with the understanding he's expected to meet the contract.
Right.
I'll second it.
Moved and supported to renew the new contract for CJ's Lawn Care at $12,000. With discussion with him, he's on probation.
I'm not,
with
we're
regards
not
to-
gonna put all that in.
Oh, come on. That's fine,
We're gonna prove the net will happen, right?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Any further discussion? If not, call the roll.
Harmon,
Aye.
Bailey, aye, Bonneville,
No,
Parker,
Aye.
I'm sorry, I just don't have faith that Todd's gonna shape up. The signpost thing has killed it for me,
Yeah,
so
right.
that's fine,
It's only one more year.
yeah.
All right. Livingston County Road Commission projects. So we have quotes for 2 projects right now. And I don't really want to move to approve these tonight because I've got to call into their engineering for a couple of reasons. But they're out of town, so it won't be till next week I could speak with them. The first project they have is on Gregory between Iosco and Lamoreaux, and it would be a total of $96,000. And the second project is Coon Lake, which would run from Bull Run all the way over to Dutcher, so it's quite a big project. And that would be $266,000, which is, it's tree removal, trimming, ditching, reberming, and a lot of gravel. So, both of these together would require us to move money from the general fund to cover. It's above what our road millage would take in. I also want to speak with the engineering though first about Bull Run Road and get a cost, because on Bull Run they do a cost share for the crack seal. This winter, there was some pretty big cracks opening up going across the road, and the road's been in good shape. I really hate to let it fall apart at this point. So I want to get an idea of what the cost of that would be, and then if it's too much, possibly have them modify the Coon Lake project into like 2 phases, where maybe we could do part of it this year and part of it next year if need be. So more to follow. They said there's not a problem if we don't approve the projects till April. They are not overbooked on projects this year whatsoever. So I'd rather just table this for now
Okay.
and come back and
All right, sounds good.
Okay,
All right.
the budget
The
comments.
budget comment. So in front of you is fiscal year 2024 to 2025. We are required by the state to have a balanced budget, and if we went over in any individual categories, then we need to move money, it's kind of ridiculous, but we need to move money from where we were under to the over. So basically, it's amending the budget number. It is not changing in any way, shape, or form how much we spent. And so you'll see there's a column that's the fiscal year, the column that's the budget, and then, I'm sorry the yellow highlighter did not turn out. So on page 2, we went, like for example, we went over on the assessment roll. I believe we went over because the bill from Econoprint includes postage. So next year, we could break postage out, and that will then be okay. Transportation, that's usually a guess. Basically, probably because they are updating property cards, they just put more miles on than we thought they would. So the very last page will show you where I'm moving money in the budget from to those spots. Sorry, I shouldn't have to go back to page 2. Under elections, like miscellaneous, we went over miscellaneous because that's food. Because Julie does you feed them what, dinner?
Yes,
Dinner feeds,
and snacks.
and snacks. So she went a little over on food, no big deal. We'll just move that. Under parks and recreation, the contracted services, that went over because the nature center mowing and the senior center money went in there. In our new budget, we have broken that out. So that will be a little more clear for next year.
Insurance you want to talk about?
Insurance, yes. On the back of page 2. Under township property, insurance and bonds. That amount we spent, it says we spent $36,000 in insurance. That's 2 years worth of insurance. Because last year, usually we pay the insurance bill in March. Last year, Joe and Julie had to argue it out with our insurance company, so we didn't end up paying that bill until April. So hence, there are 2 years of insurance showing up in this fiscal year. Down in capital overlay, that is the generator and the tables that we bought for the township hall here. We had on the next page, as far as expenses go, the hall rented out more. You ended up paying more for management because we rented the hall out way more than we thought we were going to. Refuse collection was a little under, and that's because I had more people buying a second cart, so that expense was a little higher. On the back of that page is your final year end. Fiscally, we came out 167,000 and some change ahead. We were budgeted to come out roughly 40,000 ahead. So, we did good. Did good.
Truly a fiscally
A
conservative.
little extra road money.
A little extra road money. So if you want to take care of Bull Run, I think good roads are a good thing. We will make a motion to adopt these amendments to the budget numbers at the budget meeting. But I wanted to present it here so everybody had a chance to look at it.
last page is just a summary of what you.
The last page is the summary of what I moved.
what you did.
Like, okay, yep, we were under in this column, so I took money from there and added it to where we had fallen short.
Okay.
Like I said, it does not change the amount of money we spent or the overall budget. It's just moving from one to the other. The state makes us do it.
Just show me what I did.
Yes.
All right. Anybody have any comments?
So at the last meeting, you were gonna make copies of the MPSC application. And then I said email it. You got busy, no big deal. What is it, was there anything in particular you wanted me to get out of that? Or like take away from it?
No, I was just letting everyone know it's not gonna be a rubber stamp process for the MPSC. There's many pages of checklists that they will have to go through.
Right, which is good, as it should be. It's a big project.
Right, exactly.
And that's probably why they hire people to go through the application project for them, process for them. Okay, that was my one question that I just forgot to ask Erin earlier.
With that, then we'll move on to board member comments. Erin?
None.
All right. Amanda?
I'm good, that was my one thing. Sorry, I kind of like jumped
No
ahead.
problem, Julie. I have none. Second call to the public. Anybody like to speak? Yes.
On your road projects, where does the bridge on Munsell Road fit in?
It fits in, it's on their docket, but that's not something that we are paying for, so to speak. That is a county issue. I've been told previously that it's on their short list. Honestly, I don't know what that means. I mean, with the time they told me, it sounded like it was gonna be 2 to 3 years, but the clock is ticking, right? So I'm gonna be surprised if it actually meets that time frame.
I just wondered if anybody had asked if the timing, if they'd given any timing projections.
I will be
This year.
speaking with engineering Monday, so, yeah, I can ask that. Anybody else?
Go ahead. I don't know if you
You're tough act to follow, so I better go. So I honestly, I'm struggling with where I stand on how I want to see this turn out, work with DT or not. There's some attractive parts of working with them, there really are. But one of my concerns is I guess our resource capability to make sure that the language in the application, written legal documents, that it's bulletproof in our favor. Void of loopholes or ways out, right? And then beyond that, are we capable of enforcement of violations? Because we're going against the giant here, which there's seemingly unlimited resources. So that's one of my concerns on working with them is trust factor, are we capable in a resource standpoint to protect ourselves? And then as far as the newsletter going out, I think if the intent is to bring awareness to what's going on, specifically to those that do not have any awareness, then it needs to be eye-opening in an unbiased way, in a way that people understand. And I think around here, people understand acreage, so I think that's important to put in there. That's something they recognize and can scale from a perspective standpoint. I don't hate the idea of a pro and con list. Hard to do because there's so many unknowns that it's hard to make the pro and con list factual. Right? You bring in health concerns, safety concerns, maybe, their concerns are not factual. You bring in other benefits and we're trusting that they're benefits they come to fruition. So I think that's really difficult to put into pro con, but if we do it factual type stuff. Concerns are tough because they're concerns. They're not, I don't know, I just wish we could get something out there that points to resources of other instances, good or bad. And I know it's tough to do in a newsletter. I think that's what people need to see. They need to see what's happened elsewhere somehow and learn from that and then make their own decisions. But I don't know where I'm at.
DTE gave us
Thank you.
a handout for another tour. Like, do you want like the link for that? Like, I think you can sign up for that. Is that something you'd be?
I put that into a very biased category.
Okay. Well, you said
I
research
appreciate
where.
I appreciate
I guess I thought
I
that's
do,
where you're
but-
going, where it's already happened. That is a project, right? So I guess I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. Where, I don't know where else, and I guess I just don't understand what you were saying then.
Maybe not even in the state, it could be at a global level
Okay.
too, the goods and the bads type of thing. That's not asking me to do that, I guess that's the type of awareness people need,
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead.
So my opinion on this particular subject matter is the newsletter that goes out, I personally don't think it should list pros and cons in that. It should simply bring the facts of like what's before the community. You can cite them to the website and you can have pros and cons. So in the newsletter, you can, encourage them to sign up for the newsletters that's been established through the coffee chats and be able to push information out that way further. I think it needs to be a really condensed, like, factual outlay without all the details, because Joe, like what you see pros and cons, like the list will be quite longer than just the little bit that you can put in there. So like, how do you choose those pros and cons? I don't think that's the forum for it. I think it should just be a very short, this is what we're facing, here's where you can go to get those resources to look into it further.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm gonna like that too.
Shorter.
I got it.
Anybody else? Yes.
Have any of you been approached by that guy that came to my house wanting to give me money for signing up with him?
I mean, I haven't.
So they haven't offered you anything?
You do, they only went to the people who were in a certain area within the development.
I don't trust them a bit. I'd say they'd offer you, if they thought they could push this through. They're giving these farmers $1,000 an acre a year. They're probably getting a $10,000 an acre finder's fee for this, okay? Do you even know that? Do you even know how much they're getting? They're a subcontractor. I've been a subcontractor my whole life, okay? Do you even know what they're getting an acre for a finder's fee for DT&E? We don't know, do we?
No.
Yeah, I think we should find out.
Why?
Because it's in our best interest to know how we're gonna get screwed on this situation.
How is that screwing us? If they make money on doing their job?
Well, they're trying to make money on me. I mean, they're trying to give me money, so that means they're making money. If that subcontractor's gonna give me money to sign a piece of paper saying I'll be a good neighbor to them, okay?
Yep.
That means that they're making a bunch of money just doing maybe we should just do an ATF on it ourselves. I mean, why deal with them at all?
Okay. I don't know where you're going with this, honestly.
Well, what I'm saying is, when I was a subcontractor, it was a known, okay, let's just say y'all got sued, okay, for a discovery, all right? To show everything that you made in the last 5 years, all right? So, that would show, I've done it, I've had it happen, what you made, everything that you have, all right? That showed, if you had anything that was given to you by anybody, it would show up. And if it didn't show up and they found out about it, then you'd be in a world of shit, alright?
Okay.
These people are probably making $10,000 an acre just for a discovery fee. You know, why should it make a matter to, that's why they're here every day. I can't believe they're not here today. That's why they're here. They're here to push their agenda, so they get their $10,000 an acre, and they're offering the farmer $1,000, and in 5 years, the farmer's gonna get screwed. You know that, I know that. You know, as soon as that stuff's over with, as soon as they get their money to put everything into it, they get their finder's fee. They're not contracting this work out. They're just here for a finder's fee.
I get that. They're doing their job, and I don't care. if
That's
they
not a
make money.
job.
I don't
They're
care if they don't
subcontractor.
make money.
Huh?
I
You don't
If
care?
they make money, I don't care if they don't make money. They're doing their job. That doesn't change our position. If they make 0, or if they make $1 million,
An acre.
whatever, it doesn't change the position we're in. We still have an issue with somebody trying to put solar into this township, right? And that's the bottom line. You can talk about how much they're making doing it, but that's irrelevant to us.
It's not
One,
irrelevant to me.
we're not a for-profit entity,
It's
right?
not,
We're a
it's not
government
irrelevant to
entity.
me. I'd like to know what they're making. I think it should be public knowledge of what they're making
Well,
an
then
acre.
you need to cover that with the MPSC.
Then who?
You need to cover that at the MPSC. They're the ones who dictate how they run their businesses.
Well, it's crooked. I mean, the whole thing's crooked. We're seeing that over and over and over right now.
Yes?
I don't know why we have to have this solar thing so big. That's my thing, and I think it would be better for transparency if DTE talks to the board instead of just one person, because then it doesn't look right.
I think that's right.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Just some housekeeping things on the website. It's hard to send emails to the planning commission, so the hyperlink is key. And also, if you could make it so the attachments could be sent, because they'll make it a much more friendly reader. So if I have a Word document, I can send it to you in Word.
So you can't
do
send
that.
an attachment right
Can't do
now?
that.
So it's emails to planning commission,
And attachments aren't allowed. There's no attachments. You have to copy paste from Word to get it into your document. But that's not really one of, that's a little quick side thing. Joe, I sent you, I think, a suggestion for a budget proposal about 2 months ago. If the theme throughout today's meeting is exactly that. And I really thought one of the things I tried to take a point of view of not from a citizen's point of view, but from a relationship point of view or consultant point of view. And the reason why was, you know, we had interfaces going on between the Planning Commission and DTE. And DTE, those contractors are contractors of DTE, both an attorney and a land planner. 2 things that you have to have. So you must have an offset. And I know it costs money to do this, but I think it's really important because that offset would allow you to you can still stay in the picture, but I think when it comes to those legal issues, when it comes to suggesting, 15 different points that the land planner / attorney would do if we were to hire someone like that, and for them to be in a planning session, because our planning commission faces off back to DTE. So, it's kind of hard for me to understand, you're not going to necessarily, they're good people, they do a really good job, I mean, other than a few things, but, it's really difficult for them to give you sort of the opposite opinion. So obviously, if we all had an attorney that would represent us in a land planner, if there was a person, even if it was somebody from the guy that we hired, his group, maybe a junior attorney or somebody, but that would allow the face-off, and I think it would allow you and the board to get a bit more comfortable. Because right now, you don't have 15 things on your plate in terms of how to face off against DTE, right? You are just working along with DT, and DT says, I want 1,000. You say, okay, well, I'll give you 1,000 because I didn't give you the 200. They, as soon as the ink dries, it goes to 1,800, and I don't know where it's gonna go next. Neither do they, probably. However, you know, along that trip, you know, we're far down the road, but we're not far enough where we couldn't put some kind of protection in for the board. And I think everybody, would feel better about having some representation from an attorney/land planner to even take it back to the Homers of the world and say, hey, listen, there's 15 things that came up from DTE. And DTE said X, Y, and Z, and here's their 15 points. From a township point of view, what's our position? Because we don't have a position. We just keep playing ball with them as we keep going through this game. And I'm not saying that you have a lot of, you know, it's not like you got a lot of things that you can do to fight the big guy. I understand that. I'm not naive. The politics, I think, are changing, right? Slowly, but they're changing. The Titanic is turning. These businesses might not work with just funding for them now. Now they're not going to be subsidized as much because Trump's going to put the halt to that. So the subsidies are going to go away. So now we're really going to figure out, does businesses that want to do business in the township, the longer we prolong that, allows us to not only see how the judgment handles, but it also allows us to say, the subsidies are what was driving this initiative. Or they've already taken the initiative, they've already taken the subsidies, they've already accepted the subsidies, and the state is really getting on their back, saying, you got to use up these subsidies by such and such date, or we may never get those back, because Trump and the boys are going to drag it right back. They're going to claw that back into the system. So I think what you'll see is, if there is truly solar here, it should be better for everyone. It's better for the board. If it's a legitimate business that stands on its own 2 feet, then they'll do it. And I think Wolford even said that, right? Jason Wolford, our representative. He said it in the paper. He said it here in these meetings, in the planning meeting, not the board meeting, right? Bennett is on the record talking about, hey, we're doing the right thing, you know, we're trying to turn this ship around. So I think there's a lot of things. The Livingston County Board also signed up on the local side. And for us to kind of run faster than others, and I understand there's reasons for it, but I think you guys don't have anyone else in your ear telling you what's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. They might say, you're right, they're right on 10 of the 15 points, but there's 5 points here that we have some leverage on, and let's use our leverage. Or at least give you an opportunity to say if you want to use the leverage. We don't have anybody with the financial background, a legal background, a planning background that's going to face up against the DTE folks. And you've already seen it happen in the August meeting from 2024. That's a colossal. If you watch that on the video tape, that's just, there's no one getting along in that meeting. There's no trust. And when I'm in business, you have to have trust. You have to have people that are straight up. And if you don't, then you get people questioning you, and that's not, our board's great. You guys are great. But you've got to, I think you need some representation to take yourself out of it a little bit, and then you can insert yourself back in. But to be that interface, I think it's a hard conflict of interest. It might be okay with the attorney. I doubt if he'll say it's okay, because he hasn't seen all the meetings. But if you've been following this for 2+ years, it's hard. It's hard for you, Joe. You know, I know you like to pick up the phone and talk to people. I do it. I called you before. You pick up the phone for me. But this one's big. This is not a road. We're not talking about some trees. We're not talking about a pole falling out of a cemetery. We're talking about a huge development. And just to size it for you guys, Central Park. Anybody been to Central Park? We're going to have 2.5 Central Parks. The one that's in New York City, for those that don't go to New York City, 2.5 Central Parks. Central Park's only 840, and not even, 800 acres. almost 2.5 Central Parks sitting in Little Iosco Township. Who the hell would have thought of that?
All right, thank you, Greg. Anybody else?
Can I speak again?
Sure, why not?
I'm obviously with his points. Joe and you, I have had a conversation that I do think that we need to take our time on this. We should not be making a decision. I don't think the planning commission's anywhere near prepared. I don't think they fully understand the scope of what's been presented to them. I don't think there's any reason why we shouldn't be delving in very deeply with every ounce of information before a decision is made. And I know that you're want to work with them, and if they're the good partner that they claim that they are, they should have no problem making sure that this is a good decision for everybody involved, and whatever time it takes to get to it.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, with that, I guess the motion
Second.
moved and supported, adjourned. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming.